everyone. Steve Hartline for Mix TV and our Senior Spotlights. Today, we're joined by Health Markets and Chris Young. Well, Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, I know that you're relatively new as far as your insurance business, so tell us all about Health Markets and what you can do.
So it's a weird situation. I'm actually an independent agent, so I'm as local as you can be. I live here in Cleveland. However, partnering with Health Markets, I get to have the backing of a national company. So whenever there are changes that come in, I've got a team of lawyers who live I don't know where, who know the law way better than me to help me best advise people on their insurance. And with us being a nationwide brokerage, I can actually represent all the major carriers in the area. So it's not a matter of me just selling one carrier. It's strictly me sitting down, talking to somebody, and finding out what's the plan that they need to be in.
I know you've told me before you represent over 200 carriers with Health Markets. What does that do for people? I mean, I'd say they'd be very excited about the options they have.
They really are. So a lot of times what people don't realize is so I've got 200 carriers nationwide that I've got access to. There may be a carrier that's in another state that may not be here, but with the flexibility I have with Health Markets, I can sit here and say, okay, where you live right now, here are your options. I have several clients who have been with me for several years, and they give me a call and they say, hey, the grandchildren live out in Texas, we're moving to Texas, and I can go, cool, I'm licensed there, let me know when you get there and I can still help you.
Wow, and we know a lot of people are more transient now than ever before. Well, Chris, this is our Senior Spotlight, and so we're especially interested in what you and Health Markets can do for the senior population.
So there's a lot that we can do to help seniors out. So October starts the Medicare Advantage enrollment period, and we can also look at prescription drug plans. That's the time of year that we can sit down and see, hey, this is, where do you need to be for next year? But if someone's turning 65, getting on to Medicare, it's about as confusing as government can make it with insurance.
Yeah.
And so part of our process is, we educate people. We say, okay, this is what you're starting with. And then from there, we talk, I sit down and talk about, this is what we need to do based on what you've told me. I like to stress this, I am not an agent, someone who goes into the appointment thinking, we're gonna do this. I don't make that decision until I've actually sat down and talked to people. Sometimes people come in and say, I need this plan, and I say, okay, cool. Let me ask you some questions and make sure that's where you need to be. I have some people who come in, most of the people come in and don't know what they need, and that's what I'm here for.
So what I'm hearing is, when people come to you, you're going to customize it for them personally. You're not going to push your own agenda or whatever preconceived notions you have.
That is correct. It doesn't matter what plan you get on, as long as I'm helping you out, I'm getting paid, so I'm good.
Yeah.
My job, the number I give out is my cell phone. I don't want angry calls, at 2 o'clock in the morning because your insurance isn't working.
Yeah, exactly.
So, my goal is to really sit down with people and make sure that they're on the right plan for them.
So, of course, we're joined by Chris Young. Chris, of course, with Health Markets. And so let me go to another part, and we see this all the time, this time of the year, where we get these commercials and we get these ads. And, the Federal Trade Commission, less than a year ago, several months ago, said that a lot of the ads were not correct, they weren't right. And it really, and not just those ads, but in other ways, there are people that can lead seniors down the wrong road, can't they?
Yes, so a lot of times I hear that a client calls me and says, hey, I want to get this, and then I say, okay, let's really talk about this. Because there are some plans out there that will offer all of these great incentives, and then when you look at it, it ends up costing you more for your medications, or your doctors aren't in network, or, they're great plans out there, but if it doesn't work for you, then it's putting you in a worse position. I was talking to some people yesterday, and I would rather someone come in, me look at what they have, and if they're where they're at, they're going to walk out of my office without enrolling anything. Because again, I don't have. That's just not who I am. I've got one lady who's called me probably for the past 4 years. Every year she comes in, every year we sit down, we look at it, and every year it's the same thing. She doesn't need to change.
Wow.
Now on the flip side, I have clients whose health needs change year to year. And so they're the ones that I'm constantly wanting to make sure that they're in the right plan for the next year. We got to be flexible, and we got to look at different things. So it's very much a case by case, sort of situation.
So a personalization is what I'm hearing, where you're an agent who cares. You care about the people who come to see you, and let's really go down to the granular level, and that is you're in it for relationships, the long term.
Yeah, I really am. So my goal is, I'm very much I don't like to change if I don't have to. Part of that is I don't want to have to move.
Yeah.
So if people in Cleveland don't like me, then I'm going to have to move. And that's not my goal. I'm a big believer in insurance is confusing enough as it is. And if you don't trust who you're talking to, then it's just going to lead you down the wrong path. Now, with that being said, there's a saying that I probably say at least once a day. It's probably going to be put engraved on my tombstone, which is, all systems work perfectly until you put a human in it.
That's amen. Amen to that.
I try not to be that human, but me and my assistant, we know that we're all human, and we'll, I'm not going to sit here and say I've never made a mistake, because that would be a lie. But we always strive to do the right thing, and if it doesn't work out, we do everything we can to fix it. It's not my goal is for someone to not really see me as an agent, but really start seeing me as just their friend, trusted advisor, someone who they can go to and just ask these questions, because that's just who I am.
All right, Chris Young, Health Markets. I know we've talked about this time period with Medicare, but what else do you say to seniors about what you can do for them with Health Markets?
So so we talked about the Medicare Advantage. Some people get on what's called a Medicare supplement, and those have their place. And then we also handle stuff like things called final expense, whole life plans that are designed for individuals who just haven't gotten any life insurance, it's lapsed, whatever. We also do like full-fledged term life insurance plans. A lot of seniors don't realize that they can still get term life policies, usually up until they're 70, 75, some even times 80.
Wow, really?
So if your death benefit is required of a higher amount, we've got some flexibility there. And so again, when it comes even to the life insurance, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the amount everybody needs. As far as life insurance is concerned, my firm believer is the policy you need is the one that you have when you assume room temperature.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you need something that, we've got all sorts of flexibility. We've got guaranteed issue life insurance. We've got simplified, we've got a huge gambit of options. And people just don't realize what's out there that they have available to them.
Wow.
So my job is to not only help them understand their plan, but add some education as to what they have available to them.
All right, it's Chris Young with Health Markets, and so I know you've piqued a lot of interest. How do people get in touch with you? What do they need to do?
So there's a couple of ways that they can do it. They can call my cell phone, 423-313-7987. They can also text me at that number. Also via email, my email is cyoung, so my first initial C, last name Young, at healthmarkets.com. Nice and simple.
And then I know you just had a ribbon cutting recently with the Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce. Let's talk about your location here in Cleveland.
So it's located on, it's at 4160 North Ocoee Street. It's on that weird slant of North Ocoee. It's where Walgreens is right across from Walmart. You just go down there, and it's actually on the back side of the same building as Shelter Insurance.
Yeah.
So it's in a little parking lot. So you don't see it from the road. You got to look for the big old sign. So,
yeah.
But it's there, and we're there Monday through Friday.
Anything you want to add here, Chris, before we go?
No, I just want people to know that I'm just really want to help individuals out. My job is to, again, I don't look at my job as to sell things. My job is to help educate and help people understand just where they need to be.
Well, that's it. Chris Young, Health Markets. Tons of options for you. Our Mix TV Senior Spotlight. I'm Steve Hartline. We'll see you next time.